thanks also everybody else. Let me tell you a little bit about the framework that we have developed now together with input from experts from many different industries. And maybe just a little bit about the why we started this, because what we've seen in the past is that, I mean, if you ask people, everybody will tell you like, we've been doing this a long time. And then if you ask more specifically, if you ask, for example, the AI experts, they will tell you like, yeah, of course, we're focusing on AI, and then, you know, just slapping on a couple of sensors, that's easy, right? If you talk to the IoT people, on the other hand, you know, who very much focus on, you know, getting ruggedized sensors at scale out in the field, etc., and ask them about AI, they will tell you, yeah, sure, you know, there's a little bit of AI we do on the side. We saw that there really is a need to get these perspectives together, yeah, to enable organizations to build AIoT solutions holistically that really utilize the power of AI and IoT together. And when we started the framework, the initial iterations were actually rather technical, to be honest with you. And over time, you know, as we brought in more expert opinions, etc., we realized, okay, as exciting as the technology is, AIoT needs to start from the business side. So we added this layer that you can see now to the framework that's really looking at the business side of it, and it really starts with looking at the why. Yeah? So what's the purpose of you actually doing AIoT? What are the expected AIoT enabled business outcomes? And if you look at this a little bit more closely, you will realize that there are typically different KPIs that matter, and these KPIs, they will be different depending on whether you are actually looking at building smart connected products with AIoT versus actually applying AIoT to, for example, an existing site, a factory, or an energy grid or so, where typically, for example, productization, or the asset-based revenue is not as important, but rather it's about utilizing IoT more for efficiency and cost reduction oriented outcomes. So I think when you look closer at the framework, you will see that that's a common theme. Yeah, that's basically working throughout the framework. And the next thing, obviously, we need to answer is the what. So what for are you actually utilizing AIoT? Where do you deploy your intelligence? Is this about, you know, making products smarter, or is this actually about making the management of fleets of products more smart, utilizing AI? The next thing, of course, is understanding who is involved. Yeah, so the who of it all. From the perspective of your AIoT team, so understanding exactly who are your internal stakeholders and who are your external stakeholders. And then last but not least, also looking at the how. So how do you go about the execution side of things? And yeah, each of these aspects now in the framework has a set of different templates and best practices. So this, for example, here that I'm showing to you now is the Ignite AIoT business model builder. Yeah? So this is basically utilizing some business model templates which are very IoT specific, and then combining this with the AI perspective. So if you drill down here, you will realize, okay, the IoT patterns, yeah, I think they're well established today, from digital add-on to remote usage and condition monitoring. They need to be paired up, of course, with the matching of your AI algorithms to the different IoT use cases. Yeah? And if you dive down here, you will see there's a lot more that helps you to not only build out your AIoT business model, but also to validate it. Now, after looking at the business side of things, then typically, after the internal fundraising, etc., you would enter the implementation side of things. Okay, so this is looking at the how, specifically from how do you actually execute your AIoT initiative and how do you deliver customer value and smart connected products. So this part of the framework is very much looking at how do you combine agile, cloud-based software development, where you have concepts like minimal viable product, etc., yeah, with the typically not so agile side of things when it comes to embedded hardware and software, or even specific alterations to your physical products. Okay, so this is a different world, very safety and security oriented. So how do we bring these worlds together to basically deliver on the promise of AIoT? And you can see here now, there's a lot of details that you can go to. There's the AI perspective, more specifically the IoT perspective. There's data strategy. There's the architecture perspective, DevOps, not to forget about, because this really gives you the business agility in your project. Then there's trust in the larger sense and security very specifically. There's the question of how to make your AIoT product robust. Yeah. So how do you combine best practices for reliability and resilience, not only for cloud-based systems, but also for IoT-based systems and for AI-based systems, and the same, for example, for verification and validation. Yeah? Because again, for example, the distributed nature of IoT is changing the rules here, and so is AI when you look at verification and validation, because the traditional mechanisms don't apply. So this part is addressing this. And obviously, you need to understand also the leadership side. When you build up an IoT organization, you need to understand how to go about procuring the different ingredients you need for delivering your solution. And last but not least, operating all of this. So not only the DevOps side of things, but also IT service management applied to IoT and AI, or even field service management. So it's a rather holistic framework, as you can see here. Just to give you one example here, the AI tab, specifically looking at the AI development cycle, and as we will see later in the case studies from Oliver and Martin, we have a specific pattern here that looks at how can you match the higher level AIoT use cases like improved sales or track and trace or asset performance management or support maintenance and repair, or even AIoT enabled digital services. How can you match this to the IoT side on the one hand? So what kind of sensors do you need? What type of IoT data do you need? And then matching this to the AI side of things, right? So what kind of AI do you need to support this? And then basically, as we will see later, we're looking at concrete examples for this, right? The next perspective that I just wanted to share with you is how are we actually working on this? So we have established now an editorial board, because for many companies, this is a very strategic topic, and we wanted to make sure that from the very top we have the executive perspective on this. So for example, we asked the Bosch Global Chief Digital Officer and CTO Michael Bollett to join us. We have, for example, one of the leading experts on AI, Sebastian Truhn. He is the founder and initiator, for example, of Google X and what's today Google's autonomous driving initiative. We have Ulrich Hohmann from Microsoft, bringing in this important perspective, and then some representatives also from the academic perspective. And then, of course, we also need to make sure that we're bringing in subject matter experts to work on different specific topics. So this is where we have these AIoT Unplugged sessions. They are not, let's say, marketing-oriented type of sessions. They're typically smaller work rounds, where, usually, 10 people or so come together from different companies, and they work on very specific topics. So you can see here, that's the next sessions that we're planning, and half of them are actually time zone wise and time zone where it's easy to also join from Asia, and then the other half is more addressing to bring in people from the US West Coast, right? But that's an important part of our work mode. And then, of course, we have, in order to make sure that what we are developing here as a generic framework is, not theoretical, we have case studies. So we're currently working on 4 concrete case studies. One is already public. This is, I would guess, one of the largest scale AIoT applications out there, the Large Hadron Collider at CERN. We have another one coming up shortly here, smart connected tightening systems. We will learn later more from Martin from TÜV on drones for building inspection, and then from Oliver on AIoT for elevator monitoring. Given that this topic actually is complex, yeah, and it's not something that you will learn in the 15 minutes that I have in the session today, to an extent where it makes you, enough of an expert to really deliver this. We, as a community, have also started to offer training courses. So if you just click here on training, you will see the training courses. So we have one that's more for executives. We have a master class, and we're about to launch this master class now as a beta version in April. So if this is something that interests, do contact us, and we'll make sure to enroll you in this master class. We have one that's run out of Singapore and one out of Germany. And then medium term, we will also address the topic of certification. So this goes beyond just the training. So the certification side of things will also address specific roles like the AIoT product owner, architect, or procurement manager. And then last but not least, obviously there's a lot of material, and sometimes it can be, frankly, a little bit overwhelming. So what we have also set up are so-called guided tours. So just click here on the link for the guided tours, and then pick the one that's most suitable for you, to, I don't know, just get a 5-minute overview, or do a deep dive, maybe spend 20 minutes or so. And that really, I think, would be a good start. And yeah, if that's whetting your appetite, then maybe you want to join us either for one of these unplugged work sessions, or even for a training. And with that, thank you.